Hi, welcome to Sugar Free. This is a timeless all signs reading on the matter of obstacles. I'm going to run through this really quickly. This is going to be a 2-column reading because there are 2 types of obstacle. There are internally created, self-created obstacles, and there are externally created obstacles. And they're very, very different in nature. To illustrate this, I'll use the metaphor of driving to work in my car, obviously, and coming across some temporary roadworks with temporary traffic lights, and there's a big traffic jam, and I'm going to be late for work. That is an example of an externally created obstacle. In the other scenario, I'm driving to work and something breaks down on my car and I have to pull over and the car's broken down. And this was something that I had suspected might become problematic in the car and I didn't do anything about it, and now it's broken down. That is an internally created obstacle. Either way, the obstacle is the same. I'm going to be late for work, so I'll do whatever I have to do to try and mitigate and get round and deal with and negotiate that obstacle. But it's these 2 different types of obstacles. That's what I want to look at in this reading. And if you clicked on this reading with the word obstacles or obstacle in the title, then you obviously want to look into this. So I'm going to try and keep this as really sort of random as possible. What I'm going to do is toss a coin. Heads is the self-created obstacle, and tails is the externally created obstacle. So heads, self, tails, external. I'm going to flip it, and whichever coin comes down first, whichever side it lands is going to be the first card we're going to read. The second card we're going to read will be the one that didn't land, okay? Because we're reading from this side to this side. So that's what we're going to do. So here we go. So heads is self-created obstacle. Tails is externally created obstacle. Whichever one comes up is going to be this column. Okay, we've got heads. Yeah, we've got heads. Okay, so the self-created obstacle, I'm just going to cut the deck here. So self-created obstacle, externally created obstacle. Now, it's not always easy if you live a kind of tangly sort of life. I think I might do this pure major arcana as well. To tell whether an obstacle is externally created or self-created. And obviously, there's quite a lot of territory for the 2 to bleed into each other. But if you can untangle your mind somewhat, and the best way I know to do that is a daily practice of silent meditation. And if you really want to enhance it, you can be chanting Sanskrit or Tibetan mantra as well, which will really, really enhance it. I have a lot of experience of this. It makes it much, much easier to untangle the karma associated with obstacles and to leave responsibility where it lies, either you or not you. And I mean, bottom line is you're not responsible for what other people do, but you are responsible for how you react to what other people do. So that's what we're looking at in this reading. So self-created obstacle, externally created obstacle. We're going to just go through this pile first. In fact, I am going to use the minor arcana. This is the minor arcana of the Rider-Waite split into its suits. So as far as I know, we've got pentacles here, wands here, swords here, and cups here to represent all these different ways of interacting. Pentacles is about trading power, including money, time, energy, attention, how we do business with the world, shall we say. Wands is about what we create and what we build in the world. Swords is about what we think and what we say, how we express our internal world with words in the world. And cups is about how we deal with the world in a kind of heartical fashion in the heart. Okay, so these 4 different ways of interacting with the world. So self-created obstacle, let's have a look. Hierophant. Okay, so we're dealing with matters to do with belief here, basically. We all have an orthodoxy by which we live. And that orthodoxy can change and grow and develop and evolve as we go through our lives. But whatever obstacle, if you're looking at this for a self-created obstacle, there's an invitation here to have a look at your own orthodoxy of what's right and what's wrong and how you apply that in the world, because something in that is the source of some obstacle for you. I'm just going to say that as plainly as that. Let's dig into this, because they're not in competition, these two things. So we're going to do this column and then we're going to do this column and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, another card, 10 of Pentacles, of establishment. I mean, the Hierophant is, you know, very comfortable on that throne. He knows what's right. He knows what's wrong. He knows the moral code and he broadcasts it in a performative and public way. I think it's the first card of the major arcana wherein we see multiple entities, because yeah, what have we got? We've got the Fool, then we've got the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, and the Hierophant. That's where we are. And whereas the preceding cards are more about the individual, this is how we take what we think is right and wrong out into the world and broadcast it through our actions and through our words. But it's about what we think is right and wrong. And something I feel with the 10 of Pentacles here has got concretized there and got stuck and become inflexible. Let's keep going. Yeah. And defensive. If you're defensive about it, then you don't necessarily really believe it. Okay. And I said this is about your beliefs, the Hierophant here. If you need to defend it, if it makes you angry and defensive when it's challenged, then you have doubts. Because if you didn't have doubts about what you believe, and if it wasn't permeating through every area of your life, which is what we see here in the 10 of Pentacles, you know, this is not just about home, this is about out in the world, micro and macro, the complete picture, the fractal like facts of your life, all imbued with this trading power here in the 10 of Pentacles, multi-generational, multi-setting. But there's something here that is inflexible. And that's why it needs defending, because when it's become inflexible or is inflexible, if you need to put energy into keeping it like in one piece, then it's not really fully permeated through you, has it? There's some areas wherein it hasn't penetrated. And those are the areas that we feel the need to defend. So it's very interesting. There's this mixture of concretization here in the first two cards, leading to a sense of vulnerability and the need to defend what it is. That the nature of the obstacle is really starting to unfold here. Very interesting. Okay, well, that's what we're defending. The obstacle is something to do with what happens or what you fear happens when you get other people involved. There's a fear of connecting here. There's a fear that connecting will lead to this. Because we've got the ace, then we've got the two. Nothing's, you know, we got the spirit of communication, the choice of what to communicate. And then when the third sword comes in, we make ourselves vulnerable. It's about vulnerability here. And that's what we're defending. But it's something to do with the way we express our orthodoxy. And I'll come back to that in the Hierophant. Some element of that is to do with needing to protect ourselves from the possibility or, you know, the memory or whatever of emotional pain here in the Three of Swords. Wow. Okay, and the Nine of Cups, another sort of solitude. Yes, I wanted to say here, there's a sort of keeping to oneself. And I did say something, a reticence about taking this out further and expanding with the Three of Swords. We make ourselves vulnerable when we do that. You know, if we don't say something, then we can never kind of reap whatever consequences would have come from saying it. And the moment we do say it, we've laid out the landscape for this, possibly. So we'll just keep it all to ourselves here in the Nine of Cups and enjoy our orthodoxy. I don't see a kind of a way out here. I've got to say it. I don't see a way out. I mean, coming at it externally, I could say, you know, if we are prepared to make ourselves vulnerable to it, to the pain of being open and perhaps considering that something in our orthodoxy needs re-examination and an acknowledgement of this defensiveness here, you know, and that by making ourselves, by acknowledging our defensiveness and looking underneath that and seeing what's involved and realizing that this is about the fear of emotional vulnerability, that then leads to this Nine Cups, which is this wonderful feeling of emotional wealth. But I'm not seeing that in this particular reading. I'm seeing this solitary figure here in the Nine of Cups with all that wealth, but it's all like stacked up behind him. And he's in front of it, like almost defensive in this reading. That's just what I'm getting off it. So we're going to move over now. I don't see, as I say, I don't see a kind of, this is how to get past this obstacle. I see a very clear description of what the internal obstacle is, but I'm not getting, I could swing it and turn this Nine of Cups into like an advice how to sort of get out of it, but I'm not getting that. I'm getting being closed in on oneself here. So that's the nature of the obstacle, okay, for the self-created obstacle here in this column. Let's look at this one, the externally ignited or externally kind of constructed obstacle. Right, Chariot in the reverse. Well, something is holding us back. Something or someone, or maybe it's just not the time for something to move forward. And things do come in their time. You know, we have the power to attempt to change things, but if it's not the time for something, it won't shift. And this is a profoundly non-shifting card, the Chariot in the reverse. I mean, already, sorry, I am seeing a link here, but anyway. Because this is the card of forward motion. This is the card of like jumping in the car and like switching it on and fucking throwing it in the gear and moving forward with something. Very early in the major arcana, card 7. Very, very early. I think the one before that is the Hermit, and the one before that we've got the Hierophant. It's a decision to move forward and just like, right, foot on the gas. Let's go. Go, go, go. It's in the reverse. And because this is in the external, that there is a factor outside that is blocking forward motion. I mean, Chariot in reverse is the proto card of obstacles, isn't it? But it's a person. And I'm staring at the dude in the Chariot here. Someone is putting the mockers on forward motion with something. Let's have a look into that. Two of Pentacles. Someone's keeping their options open. And that's what the blockage is. And I'm getting a strong feeling. I've never had this before. And I know I say that a lot in these readings, but it's always genuine. Someone wants to have their cake and eat it. This is somebody else's inability or refusal to come down on one side of the fence or the other. That's the nature of the externally sourced blockage, obstacle. It's someone in a position of authority. Something hasn't run its course yet. Okay, we had the position of authority. So we had the King of Wands. Something hasn't run its course yet. The Ten of Swords. Okay, and I think this person in authority is not willing. That's the nature of the blockage. They're not willing to see that this is the only sensible way forward. I'm not surprised. There's some cowardice here. Okay, basically, someone is acting in a cowardly way. Two of Cups. Okay, and they are expressing, God knows where this is coming from. They are manifesting their cowardice to make it look like they're trying to be fair. I'm channeling like Billy O here. That is what this card is telling me. And it's a dead duck, this situation. It's a dead duck. And whatever this person in authority is too afraid to look at, and there's a lot of effort being put into how this is being presented. Whatever it is, it's flipping big. And it will bring, Ten of Swords, it will bring an ending to something, like a proper job flipping ending to something. Wow. Okay, I'm going to get some advice cards now from an oracle. What shall I choose? I'm going to go for the Wild Kuan Yin. Am I? Yeah, I'm going to go for the Wild Kuan Yin oracle. I was considering, I've got a Buddhist prayer deck down there, but my choice right now is for the Wild Kuan Yin oracle by Alana Fairchild. So I'm just going to open this up. Kuan Yin, if you don't know, is a lovely sort of Shakti spirit. Shakti being the feminine energy of what makes everything move. The masculine energy makes things what they are, and the feminine energy makes things as they are, do what they do. All right? Basically. And you can't have one without the other. All right? Because the masculine without the feminine is inert. The feminine without the masculine has no expression. It's just pure energy. All right. So we need the two. So I'm going to follow this up. Self-created obstacle, externally created obstacle. I don't know what that cut was. It just happened when I said the words. So let's get this one first. Her hand gentles the war. Okay, so here we've got two yaks, probably two male yaks. We've got two possible ways of being to move forward in this situation. I guess, for this internally created obstacle pile here, column here, we can either maintain this defensive position, or we can stop fighting and look at this. And that would unleash this beautiful, like, emotional wealth here in the Nine of Cups, and a sort of unending replenishment within oneself. This is what's on offer. If we can come off the fence, and as I'm saying that, I'm not that keen to link these two columns, but I'm coming back to this Two of Pentacles here. You know, if we're not willing to take a long, hard look, the Hierophant, the Ten of Pentacles here, at how inflexible we have become. And inflexibility of this nature is really interesting because, we need to have conviction, if we're going to get anywhere in life. But we have to be like observant that conviction doesn't become like a set of handcuffs, say, and I mean that in the most straightforward way possible, a prison. Because that's kind of what I'm seeing here. We're trapped in a particular way of seeing things, but the energy it's taking to keep that up, it's courage is required here. It's courage to put down that wand in the Seven of Wands and be real about the Three of Swords here. That's what unlocks the wealth. And the courage it's taking Kuan Yin here to fly in this paranormal fashion in between these two warring males here who are going to like injure each other and knacker themselves out. They're both going to come away from this injured and exhausted. And it would be far better for one of them to go. All right. And we have no idea here in this card about which one is going to end up basically sloping off to try to form its own herd or just die quietly somewhere. We don't know, but that would be the best outcome for this. There can only be one winner. And she's coming in here with the spirit of compassion because that's what she is. I mean, Kuan Yin is she who hears the cries of the suffering. She is the Shakti of compassion. She's the feminine version of Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion. She's the Shakti of that, and she's closely related to Green Tara in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. But this is more up like onto the Mongolian plains where the great big herds are and the nomads are. And that's what she is. But she is the Shakti, the absolute energy, the active energy of compassion, flying in here to stop this useless, this sort of inevitable, it's come to it, war between these two males to keep things moving, keep things open, and make sure one of them stays and one of them goes. It's compassion that decides that. Well, it doesn't decide that, but it brings about the conditions for a clear decision to be made. And once you know that you're doing this Seven of Wands here, this defensiveness, and putting all that energy into fighting off the truth of the Three of Swords, once you know that, something's got to shift, hasn't it? But it is compassion and compassion to the self, because she's not favoring one nor the other. She has no interest in who wins this fight. She just wants it to stop because it's kind of useless. It's inevitable, but useless. It's the way of it. But, she doesn't mind which one wins. She just wants it to stop because she cares about both of them. And she wants each of them to be able to move forward into a new, better place than goring each other with their horns and throwing themselves at each other. Nothing good can come of this. Sooner or later, the battle has to stop, and it's compassion that she is the Shakti of that brings about an end. Her hand gentles the war. So compassion for oneself in this. And, there's a great tenderness here in the Three of Swords. But there's some long-held aspect of how we see things that could do with, and it's about how we express our orthodoxy in the world, that could do with a re-examination here, with compassion at its heart as a motivating force. And here we've got safe to fall. Wow. Wow, it is safe to let go. That's it. In this one, it's safe to let go. Now, as I said, this is an externally created obstacle. And what Kuan Yin is telling us here is that by virtue of the fact, if virtue is the right word, because cowardice is no virtue, and the duplicitousness, the dishonesty, because this is what's being hidden here, the Ten of Swords. And someone's just too cowardly, too much of a whatever, to come down on one side of the fence or the other. And it is an authority figure. And, cowardice is never useful in a leader, ever. But this is not your doing. It's not your problem. It is safe to let go, to let this go. And this is the thing, with the internally created obstacles, because we've created them, it is within our gift to work on them, readjust them, and perhaps, do whatever is necessary with compassion here to bring that obstacle to an end, because we created it. But when it's an externally created obstacle, it is not our responsibility. We didn't make it. We just happened to be there when somebody else did. Okay, and forward motion for us is blocked. And what Kuan Yin is telling us here is that it is safe to let go of this. And it's karmically safe to let go of this because we didn't create it. So we can, basically let go. We can let go, and it being safe to fall implies that there is not a hard landing. Okay, there is not a hard landing implied here because it is safe to fall. So if you want to let go, if you want to walk, what we're getting here is there's a green light to walk away from this. Other people do what they do. We're responsible for how we respond to it. This is a very unsavory little trio of cards here. Letting go of this situation, might create or of this setting, whatever it's in, because what a terrible thing to do for this person to be kind of presenting this bloody cowardice as just trying to be fair to everybody. It's like, no, you know what's underneath this. And perhaps the authority here is under threat if they come down on one side or the other. But in any case, they created it and they are maintaining it, and everyone's losing out through that. So if you want to let go, let go. There's no hard landing. Right, got there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll leave that there. Bye-bye.